Good evening. I'd like to call the Governing Board meeting of December 16th to order. It is 6:34. Lisa, roll call. Present. All right, and I would like the Rotary Club to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Alma?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Adoption of the agenda. Do I have any amendments or motions?
Motion to approve as written.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And moving to the call of the public. I don't have any cards, so we'll move right on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Chestnut.
A few things to report on tonight. And we are going to start with Rotary Students of the Month. Alma Farrell, I think, has some presentations to make.
Oops. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the board again for allowing Rotary to do this. And I would like to, we have two students that we're honoring tonight. Just want to tell you a little bit about why we honor these students. It's for their achievement in school. And the one student that we have tonight, the other one had a family commitment and wasn't able to come. So we'll honor him at the next board meeting. So, but I would like to tell you that, especially Brianna, that we will have a scholarship, we will give scholarships away, and it's all going to be based on your interpretation of the Rotary four-way test. And in your packet that you get, it'll tell you about the four-way test. The four-way test is of the things we think, say, or do as Rotarians. That is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And is it beneficial to all concerned? This is very important for you, so just let it sink into your mind and then be prepared when you're going to write an essay on it, okay? I'd also like to acknowledge Brianna's parents, Alejandro and Erica Barba. Thank you for being here. And I also would like to recognize Krista Cox, your assistant principal, and your principal. Both of you, thank you for being here. And Mr. Jordan for bringing your nomination forward. Okay, so at this time, I would like to tell you a little bit about Brianna. Brianna, if you could come forward. Thank you. Brianna is a junior at Maricopa High School. Okay, she's a great citizen, and she's a great honor student. She's got a great GPA, 4.43. Wow, I'm impressed. And she's enrolled in advanced placement classes, and that's how she gets above the 4.0. As she's also a member of the National Honor Society, and she's very active in band and choir, and after-school clubs. She participates in the community service through these clubs, including the library. And she also has a job, all those school activities, and she works at Copper Sky. Your parents, Alejandro and Erica, should be really proud of you. So we have this certificate for you. We have information on the four-way test, and we have a gift card for you. Okay? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And congratulations.
Thank you, Rotary.
Dr. Chestnut, if you'd allow me just 2 more minutes. I'd like to compliment you again on your board. I went to the ASBA conference last week. As you know, we met there. And I'm just so proud to be in a community that their governing board is acknowledged for 2 years in a row the way ours has been. It's a real tribute. Thank all of you for all of your work that you do. Thank you.
We're going to talk a little bit more about that here in a few minutes. But before that, we want to move on and hear from Alyssa Hollingsworth, Maricopa High School Junior Class President.
Okay, so this report is going to be probably shorter than the rest just because the semester is almost over, so it's finals week. We're not really up to much. It is Spirit Week, though, so we had a Winter Spirit Week going on. So tomorrow is Extreme Winter Day, so everyone's going to be dressed in lots of winter clothes. And then Friday is Pajama Day, so it's just an easy week to make finals week more fun and enjoyable. But besides that, SUCO is right now planning an assembly for January, just so we can have more student involvement and get everyone more excited about the new semester. So that's it for right now, since it's the end, so yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we want to talk a little bit about Budget Committee or bring you up to speed on that. And as you know, Jim Irving and Rick Nielsen are co-leading that, and Rick is going to give us an update. Rick?
Good evening. Which one's working? This one? There we go.
Actually, we'd prefer to use the other one because
Oh.
it works better on TV.
Do you want them both on?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, just do them both.
Okay.
It's up here, and you do this, and hold that. You got it
I
all?
can tell it's been a while since I've been here. Yes. Good evening, President Coutray, members of the board, Dr. Chestnut. It is that time of year again. Budget Committee has been reconvened. Our first meeting was held this past Wednesday on the 9th. And again, Dr. Chestnut and Aaron Rausch's team have done a great job of putting together a very diverse panel of people that are working with us. I think we had about 32 people on the invite list. We had about 20 or 22 people there Wednesday night. I was very pleased to see several classified staff members as well as several certified. We have administration, and then we have Councilman Wade from the City Council has been there as well, and Dr. Miller from your board joined us Wednesday night. So the mission this year is probably a little bit easier than it's been in the past in that we were given 3 tasks. The first task is to review and prioritize funding recommendations, spending recommendations, based on A, if the ballot measure 123 passes, that's the governor's initiative to settle the funding lawsuit. Aaron Rausch estimates that would yield about $1.3 million, and it would be in 2 installments, or actually we would, if it passes, we will get that chunk of money yet this school year, but not until June. And so we have to figure out what to do with that money as well as the increase in funding for next year. We also need to work on contingency priorities in case that funding initiative does not pass. And then the third request that we've been given is to also look at the side that we don't like to look at, and that is if funding should decrease for some reason next year, what would the priorities be for any reductions in spending that we need to make? So first night, very quick, very enjoyable. Thank you.
We'll be meeting after the break and getting a little more in-depth at the next meeting. So I want to report on a few things. On December 8th, I dropped in on the Maricopa High School winter concert. Didn't stay for the whole thing. I tried to do girls basketball and band, or the concert on the same night, which really wasn't a good idea, actually, but I was impressed just with the large number of students involved. We had a big crowd turnout, but just looking at the program, it's pretty amazing to see the numbers. In chorus, our choir this year, 35 students, symphonic band, 39, orchestra, 42, and concert band, which is also the marching band, 63 students participating. So it's great to see a large number of students involved, and it was a nice concert. Also, Alma mentioned this, but we just returned from the Arizona School Board Association annual conference. December 9th to the 11th, and came back with more hardware. And it doesn't photograph very well because there's a lot of glass on it, but it looks much better in person. It's right here on the front table there. And the large plaque is the total boardsmanship plaque, because our board is very highly involved in professional development for board members. And like Alma said, I really appreciate that, because I know that makes you better board members. And then it also makes you keep me on my toes even more so, which is good. It's good all the way around, and we do appreciate it, because we do the same thing with our teaching staff, right? And our administrators, our classified staff, are always trying to provide them with lots of good professional development so they can continue to progress. So we appreciate you modeling that really with the rest of the district and for the rest of the district. And then on the right is a picture that's not a very good one, but that is the Board of the Year permanent trophy. It's not quite as large as the one we got to keep for 1 year, but it is still nice to have that. And we are planning to get that mounted on a wooden plaque so we can kind of put it on the wall and display a little bit better. But we're very proud of that recognition that the Maricopa Board received a year ago, and we want to continue to have that award on display. So we did well. Our plan is that, I know that Rhonda Melvin is gone tonight, but when she's back at our next meeting, we want to get a picture of the entire board with the total boardsmanship plaque, and that'll be what we'll do at our next meeting. So congratulations to the board, and thank you for your hard work in getting that latest recognition. On Saturday the 10th, I attended an amazing event. I'd heard about these events, and it was fun to go to my first VEX robotics competition at Maricopa High School. I believe we had about 20 teams, and Robin Shoup, our Maricopa High School librarian, was the brains behind this, but it was a team effort. I know a whole bunch of high school staff helped put this thing together. She told me we could add a lot more teams because there's a lot of interest in this, and we had teams from Las Vegas. Most of the teams were from the Phoenix area, but it was a great competition. It was amazing. It was nonstop. It was exciting. It was very competitive. It was darn impressive, I'm telling you. And yeah, so it's very exciting to see this interest in this VEX robotics competition. We had 5 teams in the district last year. This year we have 16 teams, which is really quite amazing. So Rachel Burno and the Maricopa Ak-Chin STEAM Foundation, they've been providing the seed money to buy the kits. And then we've been talking 1 or 2 or 3 teachers at each school. Almost every school has a team, not every one, but getting them to be the advisor, the coach, and yeah, this is really cool stuff. So there's a lot of engineering, there's math, obviously, there's teamwork, and a lot of fun, just really a lot of fun. So there were 3 competition areas. You can see one there in the bottom of the picture, and 2 of them were pretty much going constantly all morning, and I eventually left and it was still going strong, but anyway, great event. The next time we have one, I'd encourage you to go, and you'll be very impressed. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Dr. Chestnut. Governing board member reports. Dr. Miller?
A few items. First, I had the opportunity to bring one of my sons to the robotic competition, and it was really great. And you know, just to see the students out there, and you know, with the teamwork and being able to recalibrate and work together, and you know, it was really good social capital, you know, for the students and everybody else that was participating. So I thought that was very impressed, and my son was, you know, liked it very well, and so it already planted a seed for him that that's something he would like to do when he gets to that age. Also, I did participate in the budget committee, and I thought it was a very successful meeting, and we will meet on the 1st and 3rd Wednesdays of the month, and so we meet here on the 2nd and 4th, so we'll start up in January. And also, I would like to thank Council Member Vince Manfredi. He has stepped up and will chair the Vote Yes Committee, and so I think that is a positive, so I definitely look forward to that action. And I think that's about it.
Just quickly, opportunity to attend the Pima Butte Santa Supper on a Wednesday, but also in addition to the Santa Supper, the dance classes did a presentation for all the parents, and so each grade level did a little dance that they have learned in this first semester in their dance class, which is the elective that I don't know if it's the right word, special they have this year. And it was really impressive. There was over 500 parents and students who came out to see these kids dance, and they just did a great job, and it was a really neat way to get the whole school together. So thankful for that opportunity and that special that those kids were able to, show off to their parents and show what they've learned. So.
Mrs. Anderson? Yes. I apologize for being out at the last meeting. I was sick in bed, so first time ever, so it won't happen again. So I didn't get the opportunity to talk about our Teacher of the Year. And I'm so proud of our teachers and our training of our teachers and the National Board Certification. And the whole program really puts Maricopa in the front of all, up there with Paradise Valley and Scottsdale and Phoenix Union. So it is wonderful to be a part of what's going on across the state. And I'm so proud, our Teacher of the Year applicant was Angie Ebner. And so I had the incredible opportunity to attend the luncheon and sit at the table with all these master teachers from Maricopa. And, I am just so grateful for what they do and the time they put in, and Heidi's out there constantly applying for grants to make sure this program keeps going. I know we've got more teachers that want to be a part of this program. But, the Teacher of the Year, these other 5 teachers besides Angie, wow. I mean, talk about, their resumes were incredible, and they just do amazing things. The teachers really could take over the world if we let them, and I think we should. But Angie did an amazing job. I do have pictures I can send when she was up. They were giving her little bio, and so I was just so amazed and blessed to be able to go and attend that and support our teachers, because they're doing incredible things with our students. And, and I appreciate Dr. Chestnut making sure that the funds are there to keep that training going. But we are doing incredible, amazing, magical things in Maricopa, and I don't think we take enough time to say thank you. And so I was incredibly impressed. I had several districts come over, because with ASBA and across the state, that they couldn't believe that Maricopa was in part of the competition. So I was extremely proud. It was like this new baby that I had. So I just appreciate the opportunity, and anytime I can get invited to things like that to celebrate what our teachers do and our administrators do, I love to attend the celebrations. Well, of course, but but Angie did an amazing job, and so she is one of the 5 ambassadors that will be traveling the state. So, whatever we can do to support her in her classroom, so that, but she's going to be an amazing mouthpiece for Maricopa. She's so energetic, and I was very proud, unless you can't tell. And then I also was able to attend the teachers' meeting last Monday and meet with, I think there was probably a dozen teachers there. And just hearing their excitement in what's going on in Maricopa and the override and the Prop 123, and just to hear their excitement. And, I think the key here is communication. So I just want to keep that communication line open. And I did attend the ASBA conference last week, and it was quite eye-opening. For me personally, that's all I'm going to say, but it was good. It was nice to see everybody and get the training, and again, it does help our board function at a higher level than just staying home. So anyway, that's all I have to say, and I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday. So thank you for your time and for being active.
Okay, I have quite a list of things that I wanted to kind of go over. I also did the dual, let's try a soccer game and band concert on Thursday night. It was great. But right now the band, it has grown so big that they need to have new band uniforms. And so they have with the district's approval, they have gotten, they're doing a matching fund, because it's going to cost about $60,000 to raise enough for the cost of the new uniforms. And so they're trying to raise $30,000 of it, so the district will match $30,000 of it. And you can do this, you can make these donations through tax credits. So if you're looking at making a donation, go ahead and make the tax credit donation to the band. And you can always call the business office if you have any questions, or Mr. Poor. He'd be happy to answer them. I also attended the dance recital for the high school, mainly because my daughter's in it, but it was really a nice couple of nights, showcasing all the dance classes, Dance 1, Dance 2, Performance Dance, but they also included a partner, DSPA, and their theme was 7 Deadly Sins. They did a really nice job, and some of the kids actually participated in the choreographing of it, which was really, it was really nice to see how talented these kids are at this age. And then the last 2 numbers were a tribute to Nate Ford. And it was extremely moving, and I know that the family really did appreciate it. I also had an opportunity to attend the VEX Robotics. I was an inspector, and I learned a lot about what to look for on these robots. I mean, they would come and they say, you got to check this, you got to ask for this, make sure that there's no things coming out, no wires. It was interesting. And I did stay for most of the morning, and I can't wait for the next one. It is, and I'm going to take my son to it, because I'm hoping that, like you, Dr. Miller, that he'll have a spark and interest and find something that he's really excited about. So that was kind of fun. And I don't know if many of you know, but the Chamber of Commerce, the Maricopa Chamber of Commerce, has community awards that they do annually in January. And I wanted to make note that we have some of the nominees are from Maricopa Unified. One of the Volunteer of the Year nominees are our own Mr. Jim Irving. And Educator of the Year, Chris McDonald and Bernadette Russinello. So they are slated, so we'll find out in January to see if they win, but if you happen to see them, please give them congratulations on their nominations, because that's pretty awesome. And I did attend the conference. I did attend the pre-conference and the annual conference. It was a great conference, had a lot of great takeaways. Mrs. Anderson and I had an opportunity to meet with several vendors, and that information will be passing along to the appropriate people. Most of it will go to Dr. Chestnut. But we met with a couple of individuals. There was one that was that does the finance, the savings accounts, the 529 accounts. And I think one of our biggest things with our parents is they don't feel that they can save money that they can send their kid to college. And we need to bring these resources to our elementary schools, to the parents, and they have it in bilingual. They have someone there that would help talk to the parents so that we can start helping these families start saving for college so that these kids know this is a possibility for their future. It is so important that they know that. So that was exciting. And one of the other takeaways that I took from the pre-conference is that although all of our policies, because we have a service with ASBA Policy Bridge, they're in line with the Arizona Revised Statutes. But what they might not be in line with is our best practices and our strategic plan, as we're finding out. So next year, one of our goals I would like is to start reviewing our policies. Now, this is not going to be something that we're going to be able to do in a month or 2 months. We're going to have to split it up. So I'm going to ask the board, we're going to choose a few board policies that we will review to make sure it's in line with our strategic plan, and then also, to ask Dr. Chestnut and his staff to take a few policies and start reviewing them to make sure that they are in alignment. It's good to do this every now and then and not just rely on the policy bridge, because the policy bridge is just ARS statutes and ASBA, and sometimes those don't meet what we're doing. So I want to be able to start with that next year. And the biggest takeaway from the conference is that we all are heroes of public education, and we can be the voices and make the changes. It's not just us board members advocating for the students and staff. It's the parents, it's the community members, it's the teachers, it's the staff members. We all have to be able to be willing to use our voices, to make the changes, because we can do great things if we want to. It's up to us. And so I hope that all of us will dedicate 2016 and beyond to be heroes of public education. Okay, now I'm off my soapbox. All right, information work study items. Review of the monthly financial report. Mr. Roush. Okay. Oh. I judged all those.
Our financial report. This week, the district office had a challenge of every department doing a theme and a window dressing as such. And we had the distinguished president of our board that did the judging. So we're honoring that on our front page. So thank you. I haven't heard who won yet. Maybe that's announced tomorrow, but we'll see.
Well, the bribes have to be a little bit better this year.
Yeah.
And walk it through, it's got to be more than caramel corn.
With that, again, we, as usual, we do a two-page memo that outlines the snapshot of the district in November. And if you had a chance to review that, I'm here to answer any questions that you may have regarding any of those funds or expenditures or revenues.
I don't have any.
Mr. Roush, I don't have any really questions regarding the financial report, except that, is it possible for us to put this information on our district website?
It is.
Well, no, just the annual, not the monthly financial reports aren't on there. Just the
Yeah,
annual is.
Well, the monthly is because it's on every board agenda, and the board agendas are
I know, but I'm talking about if someone goes to our website and they click on, if they want to know the financial status, especially going into what we're going to be going into next year, they're going to want to know, what we're spending, and they're not going to want to go to the board agenda and pull up that item.
Sure, we can.
I'd like
we
to
can
make
do
it a streamlined process.
Yeah, we can do a web link in our office or on the front page. Sure, it's a good idea.
The more information we can put out there.
Right? Yeah, we can link that. Mm-hmm.
This might be more of a Mr. Beckett question, but it's part of the report in that it says that our head count from end of school last year compared to now is up 460 students, which is great. It's a lot of students, and that's wonderful. We're glad they chose MUSD. But in terms of class sizes and additional hirings, have we needed to compensate for that? Because that's a lot of kids, a lot of new kids that we're putting into existing classrooms.
Thank you, Member Nora. Great question. Yes, we are constantly monitoring that. In fact, there are a couple of positions that are on tonight's personnel schedule that as a direct result of some increased class sizes. So believe me, our principals are very, very proactive in making sure we stay right on top of those staffing model there.
Great, that's wonderful.
And isn't that what the overload stipends have been paying for too? Because we haven't necessarily been hiring teachers.
That's correct.
At the high school, yeah.
And I also want to point out that that's head count, and we still have to reconcile some of those numbers, and as we get those in, and they may go up or down a little bit from the reconciliation.
Yeah, and I realize we actually don't even get paid for those kids until next year. I get that, so, yeah.
That may change.
Yeah, it might.
So,
Any other questions?
okay, thank you.
Mr. Roush. Ignite presentation, Mrs. Renita Myers.
Good evening, Board President Coutre, members of
of the board, Dr. Chestnut. Before I begin, I actually have something to share with you from the MHS admin team. It's just a little token of happy holidays.
Is it my favorite picture on there?
Is it what?
Oh, you didn't put the favorite picture on there.
Ah, thank you. Oh, that's adorable. That's awesome.
I'm going to try and get through all of this without coughing. I have been very sick. So, first of all, I'd like to say that when Heidi approached me to request me coming to the board to do an Ignite presentation, I first thought, sure, okay, let's do it. It's great. And then I started thinking about it a lot more and thinking about, well, what in the world am I going to talk about? Because really the place where I am within my career and within my life is really at a reflective stage, thinking about why I'm here, how I got here, and just a lot of thanks along the way. So I thought it would be most appropriate to really tell you about that, because it's the story of really many of the teachers that you see within the classrooms and the administrators that you see within our district. When I was a little girl, all of my mentors, my grandmother, my grandfather, my mother, my aunts, my uncle, they would all tell me that I could do whatever I wanted when I grew up. You could do whatever, anything you want to be. I remember when I was 6 years old, the very first orca souvenir that my uncle brought me home after he traveled around the world for the first time. Accompanied by this little silk purse that he got from the Orient and a Matryoshka doll from the USSR, he brought me this small stuffed orca, and shortly after, my family, they took me to Marine World. We're in Northern California, so it wasn't SeaWorld, Marine World. And that's where I saw my first Shamu show. And that was it. I knew it. When I grow up, I'm going to be a killer whale trainer. Now, a year or so ago, I was going through old boxes with my kids, and I came across this little tidbit. And it's actually a piece from the autobiography that I wrote when I was in 4th grade. Now, I don't like germs, and I'm surely not the modeling type, and I cannot hold a tune, so obviously this is not how I remember any of it at all. This is how I remember it. I remember my childhood and my early teenage years just absolutely swearing to myself that someday I was going to get paid to swim with Shamu. And the thing is nobody ever discouraged me. In fact, despite writing that autobiography in the 4th grade, I remember talking with my teacher, Mrs. Bazell, all about it. Mrs. Bazell, she was my first teacher hero. She was also my first teacher mentor. She had polio when she was a child, so one of her legs was shorter than the other, and she had to wear this special shoe. But despite that, she would always tell us stories about her participation when she was in high school in track and field. Also, she had applied to NASA under the Reagan's Teacher in Space program. Mrs. Bazell was not selected, but I can tell you that I can remember January 28th, 1986, like it was yesterday. I remember sitting in my aluminum desk in my classroom. I remember the sound of Mrs. Bazell rolling in the squeaky TV cart. I remember her excitement, the look on her face, the absolute joy that she had as she searched for the correct channel and when she turned off the lights. I remember the class's silence as we watched, and I remember feeling her presence as she stood right behind me, leaning on the cabinet with one foot out, her arms crossed. And of course, I remember the explosion, and it is with the greatest detail that I remember everything that happened in those moments afterwards and how those moments affected my life. I remember the sound of Mrs. Bazell dropping to the ground. I remember the sound of her sobbing. And I remember the sound of the little blonde boy who was sitting next to the door getting up, throwing open the door, and running to go get the school principal. And then I remember Mrs. Bazal getting up after a moment and saying to us, "I need just a moment," and then leading the class in a discussion. I learned so much that day. We were a nation at risk. Reagan's educational reform had called for standard content graduation requirements, additional time to the class day, better preparing teachers, increasing standards and expectations, and a call for leadership and fiscal support. I was in 4th grade. I didn't understand that. But as a 10-year-old kid in my 4th grade class, I understood nothing but politics, nothing about educational reform, but what I did understand is that there was no way I could ever be a teacher. Once I reached high school, I looked forward to a senior class opportunity. As seniors, we were allowed to take this marine biology class. And remember, I was going to swim with the orcas. So like other students, like our students, I was a typical teenager. I was social, I loved school, I loved my classes probably for all of the wrong reasons. Aside from learning content, I also had several opinions on how I would recommend to my teachers how they should teach that content to us. But then there was this one. Senora Bates, she was this fireball of energy. She did this weird Feliz, Feliz Viernes and beep, beep, bocina and did all these things. And the kids either hated her or they loved her. While she seemed wild and goofy, every Friday she would say the same thing to us before we walked out the door. Be safe, be anything. Ladies and gentlemen, when you're told something long enough, you begin to believe it. Mrs. Bates, she taught me basic Spanish, but more importantly, she served as my mentor in high school. She gave me the confidence to do what I needed to do in order to become an exchange student, prepared me for what I was about to discover. I stand by the idea that immersion is the best way to learn about a culture and the best way to learn a language. And there's no preparing anybody for culture shock. But I did have a great mentor, and she did prepare me for traveling as a 15-year-old girl across the world. I learned how important it was to get out and how to taste and try anything and everything because you only lived once. And in Argentina, I met incredible people. I experienced an exquisite culture. I learned a beautiful language. But when I returned to the United States, I still believed I was going to swim with the orcas. My senior year, I took that marine biology class. And then I took this trip to Monterey Bay. I had waited years for this trip. We were tasked to go on this, into the bay in kayaks. And in the kayaks, we were supposed to note the marine life that we saw and then take samples from 3 different areas. Yes, that's what I said, note the marine life that we saw. I'm an intelligent person and I hate to admit this, but I didn't put it all together until it was just me and 7-foot-tall Curtis Bonner in a double kayak. And when I was in the back and Curtis was in the front, he was more interested in flapping his great white wingspan than collecting any samples in the bay. I knew at that point, with this eerie kelp waving underneath us, an otter to the left, a seal to the right, all I could think of, there was a shark down there. I don't know how to swim. I'm going to die, and I am not swimming with orcas. I had recently fallen in love with something very different, though, something that had changed my life forever, and I had fallen in love with a culture and a people and a language, and all I could do was talk about it, and all I could do was share it, and most people didn't understand. But that's the point, right, of education. It's when you're able to finally make that connection. As educators, we are driven by dreams, by beliefs, this code that we have like a sense of commitment to society. At one time, we've all believed in the possibilities of what we really wanted to do, and others have believed in what we have wanted to do. And then as educators, we decide that our greatest path is to encourage others to do the same. We've all had those great mentors that have supported us and that have guided us. My first teaching assignment in San Martin de los Andes in Argentina, I taught English to a group of 2nd graders, high school students, and college students. My education accompanied by those experiences that I had in South America, they are what made me the teacher that I ended up becoming. It was the connections, and it was the mentoring. So thinking back to teachers such as Mrs. Bazal in 4th grade and Senor Bates from 9th, 10th, half and 11th, and all of 12th grade, what is it that they did different? They believed in my potential. And they believe in potential no matter what the circumstances are. Regardless of who you are, where you come from, what challenges you face, you could do anything and you can be anything. When I began teaching, I fully intended on spending every year of my career in the classroom. Then, like some, I got to a point where I felt like I wasn't doing enough. I can't stand up here and assure you that every single day I was a highly effective teacher according to the Danielson model. But I can tell you that overall, I was a very successful teacher. And with the help of incredible teachers and incredible mentors throughout my career, I was able to find my niche. A couple of months ago, a wonderful teacher came up before you and gave you a number, and the number that he gave you was 179. Over and over, Mr. Smith told you about 179 reasons that he does what it is that he does. Leaving the classroom, I have to say, was one of the most difficult decisions that I have ever made in my career. And when having to go between the question of, if I leave my 179, how much difference am I really going to make? So he got me thinking, and I can tell you, 1,911, and the number 79. I'm proud to be part of the Maricopa Unified School District, and I'm proud to be a mentor and support to 1,911 students and 79 teachers. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to continue to serve as a teacher and a mentor and a lifelong learner within our community, and I do look forward to my children growing up here. Thank you.
Very inspiring. Thank you, Mrs. Myers. Oh, he's fine.
Worry about it. This is after hours.
All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Do I have any motions? Motion to. Go ahead. I have a motion. Do I have a second? I'll second. I have a motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. 7A, discussion and possible approval of the December 2nd regular board minutes. I wanted to make a note. I did look this up. I know in the past we've pulled the minutes off of the consent agenda and made it an action item because not all the board members were in attendance. And after looking into this, as long as the board member reviews the minute or reviews the meeting on YouTube or watches it live, they can go ahead and vote on the minutes. We do not necessarily have to pull them from the consent. So I just wanted to let you guys know that. We can discuss that when we move forward into our board operating protocol next month. But I just wanted you guys to be aware of that. So with that, do I have any motions?
Motion to approve.
Well, President Coutre, I need to recuse myself because I was not at this board meeting, and I haven't.
You haven't watched it?
No.
Gosh. Okay.
So now make your motion.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And we have one recusal. All right. Item 7B, discussion and possible approval of the personnel schedule. Mr. Beckett.
Thank you, President Coutre, members of the board, Dr. Chestnut. Just briefly, Dr. Chestnut asked me to update you on one previously approved agenda item, the 7 full-time certified substitutes. We were in the process of, over winter break, we're going to be doing interviews for those positions, hoping to have those placed at the beginning of the second semester, beginning on January 4th. You have the personnel schedule in front of you tonight. If you have any questions, I can take them at this point in time. Certainly.
First, on item 1, is that a position that will be refilled for the social work position? I believe that's with the McKinney-Vento program.
That is correct. I believe
That will be filled?
There's a strategy in place. I'm not sure it's actually going to be that position. I thought there was some discussion about maybe a service or an outside group coming in and filling that role. I'm not sure it'll be a direct hire, I guess. Dr.
Okay.
Miller.
When would you know more information on what the next step will be on that?
What I can do is I'll go ahead and go back and talk to the staff member who's in charge of that program and ask them to directly address that
Great.
question to you.
Okay. And also another question on line item number 8. Would it be possible, as regards to the paraprofessionals?
Yes, sir.
And it's not this specifically, but would it be possible for me to know how many paraprofessionals that we have in our schools, and not necessarily like for each grade, but I'd just be curious, like for like the schools, how many paraprofessionals they may have?
Sir,
Would that be possible?
I can get that information
Okay.
to you, Dr. Miller. You bet.
Okay.
I can give you a
It doesn't have to be right away, so I understand it's the holidays, so
Well, it's a
next year would be
simple number.
fine.
I can give you an estimate. We have about 70.
Okay.
Some of those are 29.5-hour positions, and others are 40-hour positions based upon the role that they have. in the
Okay.
district.
Would it be possible to break that down, like for which schools?
Yes.
Okay,
certainly.
great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Beckett, on items 1, 2, and 3, there isn't a contract assessment. Are these ones that their spouses are taking a job somewhere else?
In
Or-
terms, yes.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and address, I guess, each of them separately. Well, not each of them, but 1 and 3, again, were classified roles within the district, and so we do not assess if there's
Right.
a contract or a work agreement breakage. And yes, number 2, that specific situation was a result of a personal incident.
Yeah.
Correct. Thank you.
Any other questions, discussions? How about a motion?
To approve this item?
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Beckett. And our last item, adjournment. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion to adjourn.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second?
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, 7:22.